Okay. I met Chaim a few days ago to help him arrange and everything, and he asked me to speak to you. So I'm really happy for the opportunity, and I'm basically here for you. Any question you have, if you want to, focus on one specific industry, just let me know, and we'll talk about it. Feel free to interrupt me. We're Israelis here, so I'm basically more comfortable when interrupted. My name is my name is Daria. I just told your wife the whole story, so I'm gonna do it again. I guess she thinks I have good enough English to do it again. So basically, I'm a lawyer by education. Used it only once to get my dad out of red light, but other than that, was working in the past 10 years in a private equity fund focused on Sub-Saharan Africa. It's an impact investing fund, and we did like 40 house units in Angola, and agriculture projects in Uganda, and a hospital in Ghana. This kind of projects, 12 different projects, is a $350 million fund. And 10 years later, once the whole fund was committed, me and my husband and 3 kids under the age of 5 decided to move to Silicon Valley. My husband is an investor. He invested in seed stage startups, Israelis, here in Valley. And we decided to move here, and I was faced with the opportunity to decide what I want to do, because Africa is not the main issue focus here in Silicon Valley. So the first 3 months of my time here, I just met everybody who I wanted to meet, and it was and everybody who was willing to meet me, which surprisingly enough was a lot of people. I always thought that Tel Aviv is the most helpful place with arvut adadit, and everybody helps each other. And once I got here, I felt like I found gold. Like every meeting I had started with "How can I help you?" and was finished with 3 intros. And I met over 200 people in less than 2 months. So I felt like there's the phrase "money on the floor," but I didn't mean money. I meant the culture was so welcoming and warm and supportive. And I saw so many male founders using that culture, and so few women does. So I decided to see what I can do to bring more women to the table. So many coffee places are filled with founders, entrepreneurs, male startupists that meet investors, corporate developers, development, Facebook, Google, the biggest company in Silicon Valley, but you never see women around the table. So I know so many brave and fearless women in Israel that have done wonders, but they've never been to Silicon Valley, and I decided to see what I can do to make it more accessible for them. So on my first visit to Israel, it was 6 months after we moved, which means I knew very few people outside those 200 people I already met. And I met my friends, my female founders, and I asked them, listen, this is an incredible culture. Why don't you come over to Silicon Valley and try it for this yourself? Go pitch to Sequoia, go meet the corporate development at Facebook. And they said, we don't know how to do that. It's like too far to reach. How do you make that leap from Tel Aviv to Silicon Valley, and how do you get to ask Sequoia to come and pitch to them? And I said, I don't know why they were so intimidated to do that leap, but I opened my laptop and I shared on Facebook, I'm going to take the first delegation of the leading Israeli female founders to Silicon Valley to help them build the confidence, the networks, and the tools they need to grow themselves, to grow on their own. And that post had 150 shares in the first 24 hours. Wow. I raised $150,000 in 2 weeks from Herzog Fuchs Neiman, from Silicon Valley Bank, from Teva Pharmaceuticals, Startup Nation Central, even Spa Kaysar wanted to pitch in, and everybody pitched in 10 grand to help me raise the funds needed to go to Silicon Valley. I had almost 200 candidates apply to that delegation. All the sponsors chose their best 20, and we had, by November 16th, we had the best 20 female entrepreneurs, Israeli, coming here to Silicon Valley, with Channel 10 following them, Globes magazine following the delegation. We had over 80 meetings in 1 week from 8 a.m. until midnight. We had Dan Ariely land in San Francisco and meet us close to midnight at the hotel just to speak to every founder. So It was a hectic week, crazy week. They were jet-lagged. They were dozing off in meetings, but they had a full week, which ended with one of them selling her company to Apple and 5 other moving to Silicon Valley, like opening branches in Silicon Valley. So that was the first 20. Since then, I raised more funds, and I had 2 more delegations. The last one ended 2 weeks ago. Actually, one of them, I had a very diverse group. I had one Haredi from Bnei Brak, a woman from Bnei Brak, and one from Nazareth, an Arabic Israeli woman. And the Haredi actually signed a contract with one of the biggest companies. I'm not sure that's at all. Hedva Kleinhandler?
Oh, she's the one who made with the phone.
Exactly, exactly.
Wonderful.
From Kamatech, yes, exactly. So she was actually in negotiation with one of the biggest companies. Once she moved here, on that week, she met in our meeting that you were going to have on Monday. She met we introduced her to the guy who she needed to contact in Facebook, and there are. I'm not sure that's allowed to say, but they signed the contract to be the paying customer. Facebook is a paying customer for a startup from Bnei Brak. So that's a huge thing.
How big is the investment?
It's not an investment. It's a contract. They are a paying customer. So I don't know how big is the contract for. That's something we need to ask her. But that's a long process that needs to start with the contract. So that the first step was done, and now she needs to get all the security and details,
so
technical details.
At times is actually becoming
a customer, a subscriber, yeah. So she develops a SaaS. It's like a software for the workers inside mentorship, inside the company. So she discovered that the mentorship is not being held efficiently enough. So the platform she made helps you find the right mentor at the right time, and it's all very, like the management of the company will not know what you're talking about, but they will get the subject. Like if you're talking about sexual harassment, then the company should know that these are the conversations that are held in the company. So that's a problem you need to face. But the company would not know who's asking, what happened, what are the details, who was mentoring you. That's all. No details attached. So, but again, I'm not sure we're allowed to say the name of the company and what happened. So sorry.
You said one of the women sold her business to Apple.
Yeah.
How large was that transaction?
So it's under NDA. She's not allowed to say. Some say it's an acqui-hire. Because she was in the face recognition authentication. It's a platform that Apple is very focused on. Some say it's an acqui-hire. She said to me that it was profitable enough. She's not allowed to say the number. But I would say that I've never made anything that Apple was interested in, so I'm very proud of her. Yeah, it was, I think, one of the only transactions between Apple and an Israeli startup in that sphere. So yeah, she had some really good experts in that. So that's what I did in the past year and a half, 3 delegations, 50 women came here.
What's the proportion of women here in the valley?
Very few, very few.
Even here, I mean the American women?
Yeah.
I mean, like what?
They say 10%. 10%.
In Israel?
And I think nobody has the real numbers. It's hard to say, but the rough numbers are around 10%, and very few, like they say 3% of the world equity is focused on female founders and female CEOs. 3% out of the 100, so that's very small numbers. And we have an Israeli founder here in Silicon Valley who is the #1 self-made founder, millionaire. Her name is Adita Tarko. She's the founder of House, which was now estimated in $4 billion. So she's the most successful founder in the world, and she's Israeli, studied at the Hebrew University, moved here right after school. So we have, like, Sheryl Sandberg said, we can't be what we can't see. So now we can see. Let's see how many we can have follow her. So the numbers are, they estimated it by 100,000 Israelis between San Jose and San Francisco, which is about an hour drive between San Jose and San Francisco. We have Israelis in the investment industry, a lot of Israelis in the startup sphere, and a lot of Israelis are in good positions in the biggest tech companies. We have a good brand. And yeah, the Israeli approach of, saying things as you see fit and less.
That's a joke.
Yeah. זה קשה לי נורא להתרכז עם הפלאשים האלה. אני לא מצליחה לשמור על קו מחשבה רציף. זהו, אז so what I'm focused on helping female founders. I'm gonna start a shared office space in Los Altos. There are very few shared office spaces here in Silicon Valley. There is one in San Jose and one in San Francisco by WeWork. And in between, very few. It's hard to find. Most of the people just sit at restaurants and coffee places and have meetings. So I already rented the place and it's under renovation, and it's gonna be the first shared office space in Los Altos focused on female founders. Not only female founders, but it's going to focus on them. So if we have investors, I already have...
זה כמו WeWork כזה?
זה כמו WeWork, אבל זה רק אני, אז זה לא כזה גדול. ואני שכרתי את השטח, זה 2,000 סקוואר פיט, וזה הולך לשמש כ-50 יזמיות, ואנשים שיכולים להיות יעילים להם. If I have any... No, doesn't have to be. I have an investor from France who wants to sit at our space. We're gonna have 3 conference rooms, each one dedicated to a trailblazing woman. One who discovered DNA, the other one is the first astronaut, and the third one is one who discovered cybersecurity like 50 years ago.
את מגייסת בישראל, או שאת רק פשוט מי שמישראל רוצה לבוא, את נותנת את הכלים?
So once the delegation is open for applications, then I'm happy to have as many female founders as I can apply for the delegation. But I see myself as a platform. If anyone from Israel needs the support to come here and work and have a space to work from and needs the contact, and I can be helpful for him, like I do for you, explain what the ecosystem is all about and how they can grow from here and what's the right thing to do, because the culture is totally different and you need to learn how to do it right. Unfortunately, we have very different views on how to handle meetings, for example. So I'm happy to help. That's all philanthropy at this point. Yeah.
You should know there's an organization in New York founded by the Olchik family that's devoted to female entrepreneurs.
What's the name?
Helping them establish themselves in the business world.
Really?
Yeah, and I'll help you get a connection to them.
Thank you. Do you remember their name? Maybe I know them just...
The Olchik family,
Oh.
OLTCH.
Yeah, okay. Okay, great.
Very successful
Happy.
family.
Thank you. Be happy to meet them. I was actually approached by a law firm, a bank, and the Israeli consul in New York. They wanted to bring a delegation to New York. So maybe next time we'll do that. We'll bring it up. Thank you. Is there anything you wanted to know?
Are there a connection between the Jewish community and the Israeli community?
Yes, so that's a really, really good question. I was not aware of how different views the Israeli and the Jewish community might have. I can tell you that just as an example, last Yom Kippur, we were at the synagogue with the kids. There was food at the synagogue for the kids to eat between lectures. We were shocked to see food at the synagogue. The synagogue was male and female together, of course. There was a rabbi.
Synagogue?
Yeah, a Reform synagogue. I think it was a Reform synagogue. And we had a female rabbi who shook hands with everyone, which also I studied at Bar Ilan. I never, ask people to shake my hand because you never know if it's allowed, if they feel comfortable with that. So it was such a good atmosphere, having the kids learn, on eye level, the things that can I have a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 7-year-old. They all have different classes to learn about Yom Kippur with games and fun and music. It was an experience I've never had before, and we enjoyed it so much that we for sure try it next holiday. Yeah.
These people come from probably far away.
Far away. They all drive.
It's not like they live next door and they can go home and feed the children.
Right.
You do feed the children on Yom Kippur, don't you?
Right. You have to. And they all, I think, they all came in a car. They drove to the synagogue.
Yeah, it's a synagogue.
Right. It was for us. It was like an eye-opening experience. We are totally secular. We do go in Israel. We went to the synagogue on Yom Kippur, but we mostly stayed outside with the community. We never went inside because, male and female cannot, men and women cannot
You have to pick up the right children.
Right. What?
You have to pick up the right synagogue.
Right, right.
More and more synagogues in Israel now made in Jewish.
Yeah, I hear. That's what I hear. That's a good sign. We love it how everybody can choose their own way of believing, and they're not being criticized on their choices. So
And the Jewish community here welcomes the Israeli community?
I think so. I don't really make a difference between them.
It's interesting because it's not like that in
Everywhere else.
Everywhere else.
Right,
exactly,
right.
In the United States.
Yeah, we have a rabbi next to the Israeli community at the JCC, and we all meet, and I sent Chedva to have dinner, Shabbat dinner with them because they had kosher food and everything, and I didn't have that, and it was hard to find. We collaborate on many things, and if I needed a meeting for the delegation, I would ask the Jewish community first. I would, if I was looking for, somebody at a certain company that I thought it would be really helpful for the founders, I would contact, the Jewish community first for help, and they help.
Wow, that's nice.
So I think the Israeli community here is very, I went to Singularity University. I don't know if you're aware of it. It's a 1-week executive program, a collaboration between Google and NASA, and they give you.
Enjoy?
Oh, I love it. I loved it. Did you do it? Did you do it? I'm happy to connect you, and it's so interesting.
Oh, I know that.
It's incredible. You have 1 week, and it teaches you about the future, the exponential technologies. How would the future look like in 5 to 15 years, like the future of education, the future of transportation, the future of health, the future of energy, and they bring the best, even the future of crime. What would it look like in 5 to 10 and 15 years? And the experience is just incredible. You just eye-opening experience. I'm trying to remember why I told you that. איך הגענו לדבר על סינגולריטי? הדבר האחרון,
דיברנו על הקהילה היהודית, זה לא קשור.
נכון, זה לא קשור, ואז שאלת אותי משהו אחר. מישהו שאל אותי?
מישהו אחר שאל פה, כן.
איך הגענו לדבר על סינגולריטי? ברח לי חוט המחשבה. על הקהילה הישראלית.
היא מחוברת? יש כאן איזשהו סצנה של
כן,
קהילה, אירועים?
אז יש סצנה של קהילה. We have, like the Israeli community is very connected. We have the JCC, so every holiday we celebrate it with the Jewish community and the Israeli community together.
It's so nice to hear that.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
So different.
Yeah, definitely. Well, my kids are going to a Jewish school. It's very different from the Israeli school because they have prayers every day, and they know the prayers much better than I do. I don't know how to help them with their prayers, and they learn about much deeper than they would have learned in Israel, for sure. And they love it. They have every day. They love the Jewish studies.
So you feel like your Jewish identity is stronger here than it is
Definitely.
in Israel, actually.
I felt. I don't know if to use that word, but antagonism about Judaism in Israel. Although my father was religious, he had a kippah on, כיפה סרוגה אמנם, אבל עדיין, עד שהוא הלך לצבא. ואנחנו גדלנו בבית you don't ride bicycle on Yom Kippur, even though everyone else does. And my husband's side of the family, he has a lot of Haredim that made him afraid of of Judaism, because everybody become so intensely involved in Judaism once you go there. And when you're here, it's also welcoming, and they let you choose your own way. It's so much better than what we used to in Israel. So definitely yes. But I wanted to tell you about the Israeli community. Once I had the final delegation 3 months ago, and I made a booklet. Every female founder had 1 page with her story, her personal story, what she went to the Technion, to 8200, whatnot, and 1 paragraph about the startup and what stage she's in, what she's looking for, what experts she's, and I posted on a group called כבר כאן, הישראלים שנמצאים כבר כאן בסיליקון ואדי, קוראים לזה סיליקון ואדי, כבר כאן, זו קבוצה של הישראלים, ויש שם כמה אלפים, ואני כתבתי להם, I wrote, every one of you has been asking me how can you be helpful for the female founders, how can we be helpful for the delegation, this is your opportunity. This is the list, you can read about them, we have all the way from digital health to energy and construction tech, and any one of you who thinks you can have added value to those founders is welcome to contact me, and I'll connect you to the right founder. And I had dozens of Israelis, and some of them are, really high-level people from Waze and from, Tesla and from Amazon, and I would never have found them in any other way. And they approached me and they said, I'm an expert in visual search. You have a startup. I see that they are very advanced in that space. Happy to meet them, connected them. And when they got here, they already knew each other, and they, big things could happen even before they met. So the whole thing Israeli needs to understand about Silicon Valley is that it's all about relationships. Like you cannot, in Israel, they can contact me from Israel and said, I'm raising funds, can you connect me to investors? Like, it's like asking me to do a shidduch over the phone from, you have to meet the person, you have to see eye to eye, you have to talk to make sure that you align, that you have the right valuation, that you have the right technology, that you're in the same sector. So many different components to find the right investors. And relationship is the most important thing. That's why I started doing the relationship things like three months before they came here, to make sure that once they come here, they already have relationships with the people they're supposed to be.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Yeah. I admire the work you're doing here.
Thank you.
Let me ask a provocative question.
Yeah.
Don't you encounter the brain drain from Israel to Silicon Valley? I've been to Silicon Valley. I've been to a technology fair a couple of years ago.
Right.
I was amazed to see how many booths were manned by Israelis.
Right.
And they left Israel. And
Right.
they moved to Silicon Valley.
Right.
So what advantage does Israel have from this brain drain? On the contrary,
Right.
because I'm in the medical field.
Right.
And we see a lot of startups in Israel which reach a certain point and then
And they have
can't go
to,
any further,
right,
and they move to Silicon Valley or to otherwise,
right,
and then the benefit is lost for Israel.
Right.
Because if the further, development is done here, and then the production and distribution, everything is lost to Israel.
right, right.
So,
I told,
כי את מתארת גן עדן לא רק כלכלי, אלא גם חברתי.
גם חברתי.
כזה כולם פתוחים וכולם...
אני ממש ככה, אני
יאללה.
מתארת. כן. So yeah, sometimes I find myself becoming the Israeli משרד ההגירה, but the other way around. Just, I'm motivating people to do the move, but my intention is not so they move forever. Is that you're in a certain stage, you have a product you think you're passionate about, and you need to grow. It's like a child, you need to help him grow, and if he cannot grow in Israel, you have to help him grow in other places, it's just as long as he's happy, right? And then once let's take for example Waze, okay? Waze is a good example for founders who didn't leave Israel. They found another co-founder here, Noam Bardin, and he was a Harvard graduate, and he sold the company from here, and they are still in Israel. So you can, it's first of all,
do they actually come, what is it, this statistic, do they actually come back to Israel once they mature?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't have the statistics. I think that some go back to Israel, some stay for longer periods of time. It's hard to blame them. It's really, life here is really good. It's safe, it's calm, it's productive. The opportunities, like they call America the world of opportunities, the country of opportunities. עולם האפשרויות, ארץ האפשרויות. Unlimited. It's really like that. Every day you have opportunities you were not even imagining that will be open to you once you move here. And not only academic.
Another one that will be called Click.
כן, כבר לא כאן. So, but some of them do go back to Israel. We have...
I'll ask you another provocative
question. Yeah.
How do you see yourself?
Yeah.
Do you see yourself staying here?
Exactly. Now my question is my mom going to see that video or not? Listen, it's a really hard question to answer. At this point, we're only 2 years here, so I don't have to answer it that soon. I have a visa for 3 years more. And we will have to face that question in about 3 years, and then we'll decide. I think we'll go back. My personal view is that we will go back. We want our kids to be Israeli and not totally Americans, and we want them to be connected to the Israeli culture and heritage, and our families are in Israel, but we want them to have the most benefits that they can while they stay here. So the language, of course, understanding that there are no limits, border limits to their dreams. That's what our hopes are for our kids. But it's really, at the end of the day, it's a question of opportunities. If my husband is offered a really great opportunity in Israel, if I think somebody's going to be the next president and I can be her chief of staff. Just, I don't know. That would be a good reason for me to come back.
Down on the list, you'll be first.
Yeah. If you're running, I'm right behind you.
No, I'll find the one who runs.
Okay.
And I'll have
Okay.
you contact her. I'll make a shidduch, you see.
I think, you know, everybody is passionate about something, and if the right opportunity occurs, they will easily go back to Israel for that
You're
reason.
doing something amazing here,
Thank
from what I
you.
hear. And the question is, how can we help taking maybe what you're doing here back to Israel? I mean, is it possible maybe to bring this success into Israel, this maybe mentality of high tech, of relationship and everything? Maybe what you're doing
Right.
here, maybe we should,
Right.
you or somebody else should
Right.
think about. Is there a possibility? Is it even possible in Israel? Because
Yeah.
there's so many great brains in Israel and ideas, and they're all coming here.
Right.
Why not bring it into Israel?
So there are two sides to that question. First of all, the economic one. Israel is a really small country and it's a small market. So if you have a B2C company, even a B2B company, if you're looking for other companies to sell your product to, you need a bigger market, and the bigger market is outside Israel. So in that regard, and also funding, you know, there are a certain amount of funding in Israel. They can take you so far, but once you're big enough and your valuation is big enough, you have to raise funds somewhere else. And the big bucks are here. You know, the funds that can invest dozens of millions of dollars are not in Israel, most of them. So that side, the economic side is. I don't see it changing in the near future. The social side, I think we can learn a lot from the culture here of being very welcoming and supportive.
I'm not talking about re-educating the
Right,
entire Israeli
right.
society. I'm talking about what matters
Why, it's a
now,
good
the
idea.
high-tech.
Could be a good
I'm
idea.
talking about the high-tech society.
Right.
I mean, what
I think the high-tech ecosystem in Israel is very supportive. There are so many groups that I'm in, and I see people helping each other and answering questions and finding them co-founders and whatnot. And